are some intangibles that those projections failed to take into consideration.
The crowd was going crazy. There's not much in life that's better than that.
You're listening to Garlic Fries and Baseball Guys on the 95.7 The Game Podcast Network.
High drive to right. It is out of here. And we are going home.
Hello there. Welcome into the Garlic Fries and Baseball Guys podcast. Sam Lubman here with Joe the Butcher Boy Shasky on a very sunny Monday, April 21st for episode 124. As in, Shasky, 124 times has Ryan Walker had a hitter in a 1-2 count. And in those 124 plate appearances, hitters are hitting 171 against him. That number, of course, went up yesterday after Joe Adell hit the walk-off triple for the Angels on a 1-2 pitch from Ryan Walker. And why not? That's just where we're going to start things off today. And that is, it seems like we have our first kind of back of the bullpen concern of the 2025 season here after Ryan Walker blew his first save since being given the closer's job last August.
I mean, it's just that inning was a debacle, and it really is going to evaporate a great start for Justin Verlander, who I think he needed it. I think he needed that outing, and I thought the Giants had an opportunity to not only win the series but kind of end the road trip on a pretty big high note. And that was just a tough circumstance there. I don't know. I was thinking maybe you yank him in that situation. He got squeezed on a strike three. Then he hit the batter. Bases loaded. I could almost feel it coming that a base hit was going to happen and hit down the line. I mean, they were very aggressive in sending that guy, and it was the right move. You got to make a great throw, great cutoff, great catch there from the cutoff, a throw home. They got to make a great tag with a catcher's glove, and you got to pick something and then make a shrewd stop. I thought they did a pretty good job. Maybe Adames' throw could have been better, but even though it was low, it did skip really hard in there. But Tyler Walker gives me nightmares, quite frankly. And I know how excellent he was at the end of last year. There's been about 3 or 4 different outings this year where I've texted you and I said, I don't love him in the 9th inning. I love him in the 8th. Love him as a setup man. I just don't know if I trust him in the 9th inning. And that could probably be said for 28 other closers that are currently closers in the big. So I don't think this is a Ryan Walker thing, as is like modern bullpens in the 2025 era.
So, I mean, you talk about kind of the lack of trust you have for him in the 9th inning. Just looking back at what Ryan Walker's done on the surface, he's overall been really good in that closer spot. Yesterday was the first time he allowed any runs since his first outing of the year on opening day when he still got the save. He was 10 of 10 last year in save situations as the closer since becoming the closer on August 10th against the Tigers. So overall, like, the performance has been pretty good, but when you look deeper at what Walker has done, though, like when I think closers, unless you're Brian Wilson, I always assume closers, like it's a quick 1-2-3 inning. Like you want clean innings from your closers. When you have a closer who's working with a lot of traffic on the base paths, that's no bueno because you're basically one hit away from it all kind of falling apart there. And Ryan Walker, that yesterday was his 9th outing of the year. He's only had 3 1-2-3 innings in his 9 outings so far. So he's been pitching in a lot of traffic, not a ton of traffic, but a lot of traffic. And when you have that happen, at some point you're going to get burned by it. When he had the bases loaded yesterday, Shasky, I just felt it all the faith just came out of me. The Angels had all the momentum there.
Yeah.
If they didn't send Neto there to score that winning run, you didn't have any confidence that it would stay tied. Like, the Angels just had all the momentum there. But the question I kind of run into then here is just like, what do you do here then if you're struggling with him in the 9th inning? I'm kind of curious if you want to elaborate on what about him in the 9th inning kind of worries you the most. But I kind of want to get that from you, Shasky, but also like, what is the pivot here? Because I kind of had a belief that Camilo Doval would kind of eventually take over the closer job at some point early in the year. I don't know if he's really an option either right now.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Camilo Doval. His last 3 outings, I'm looking at it right here. He's thrown 1 inning at a time, hasn't given up an earned run. That's the Angels on Sunday, which was 420, against Philly on 416, and against Philly 2 days prior on Monday, 414. And basically 1 inning every single time. Low leverage situations, at least lower leverage than the 9th inning.
Sunday was a little bit of a higher leverage situation, but yeah.
Agreed. I don't know where he's at. And I also don't know where Bob Melvin's feel is for his team right now in terms of the bullpen, because I don't know who's really pitching that well. I didn't have this entire staff kind of being, and I'm talking bullpen and starting staff, being kind of a question mark. Like Logan Webb's been spectacular. He has nothing to show for it, but he's been spectacular. I mean, 12 strikeouts the other day. Jordan Hicks has been meh. Robbie Ray has been meh. Verlander, this was a good Verlander start. Verlander has been better than the numbers, but the numbers aren't good.
No.
Like, let's I think both can be true. Quietly, Brandon Roop might be your second best guy. I mean, we're only a couple of turns through the rotation. And then you're relying on like Lou Trevino in certain mop-up situations and Randy Rodriguez a lot, you know? Camilo has the 10th most innings pitched right now at 9.1. Trevino, 9.2. Randy, 9.2. Hayden Birdsong with 10. Now he's got a couple of multi-inning appearances.
He's your long guy, yeah.
Yeah, and then it's basically Tyler Rogers. So do you trust Randy Rodriguez?
I don't know, because I know
I'm there yet. Do you trust Tyler Rogers? No. Like, I like Tyler Rogers in the 7th and 8th inning.
Yeah. No, I think I'm not putting Rogers in the 9th inning. I think the Giants have tried that at various times over the last few years, and it doesn't work. I love Rogers. One of the biggest attractions of Tyler Rogers, he doesn't have that blow you away stuff, which is a very true fact. That's not a knock on who he is as a pitcher. But he can get outs, but I don't like him. I like Ryan Walker more as a 7th inning guy. I think that's where he's done his best work.
Me too.
You know, so I do Walker Rogers, but
especially with him coming in real quick in the 7th, you know, he throws 95 and the 98, somewhere in that range. He's got a big hook. He's kind of nasty. And then you go complete sidearm. And then where do you go in the 9th? See, this is where, and I'm just going to throw a name out there. Are we sure Jordan Hicks is a starter?
Let me touch that in a second there, because we look at other options. You mentioned Randy Rodriguez. I don't think it's going to be him.
No, I like him where he's at.
Bob Melvin likes using him. Bob has stated a lot. He likes using him when runners are on base, and Randy Rodriguez has a 0.000 ERA. He has absolutely locked in his role. Honestly, I would kind of push back at what you kind of said a few minutes ago, that Bob's still trying to feel out the roles with the bullpen. I feel like for the most part, everyone's kind of got it down. Bivens is your long guy or your mop-up guy.
He stinks.
Birdsong is that's why he's the mop-up guy. Birdsong is your late kind of mop-up. The Birdsong conversation, I'd rather see him in the starting rotation, but that's a conversation for another day.
But that's why I suggested Jordan Hicks coming out of the bullpen, because, I mean, like right now, I think I kind of want to see Hicks in the bullpen and Hayden Birdsong in the rotation.
I just feel right now every inning is kind of set with the bullpen, except for, unfortunately, two very important innings, which is the 7th and the 9th inning. I mean, the 7th, you kind of have Eric Miller there who you can count on. He's shown he can get guys.
He's your only lefty.
Exactly, but he is your only lefty, which kind of strains you there. 8th inning set. It just comes down to who you trust in that 9th inning there.
You don't trust Trevino, do you?
I don't know. Trevino is a mid-inning guy. I don't want him in high leverage situations.
Can we agree?
Right now.
Can we agree? I don't think this is an exclusive issue to just the Giants. I think a lot of teams are figuring out their bullpens. Would you agree?
I think, again, early in the season, I think we've seen this the last couple of years where guys are trying to figure out roles. I know this was a big issue last year with Bob Melvin with kind of when to bring guys in. And and I know that's kind of Bob Melvin's big bugaboo, is kind of figuring out bullpen roles. This year, again, like I said, I feel like it's pretty set in stone. I think everybody knew when they were going to be pitching coming into the year. The problem is, Doval has not pitched up to expectations, and Ryan Walker has been shaky until yesterday when it all kind of fell apart. Other than that, I think you've gotten everything you've wanted from this bullpen and more to start the season. The bullpen, they had to pick up the starters a lot on this past road trip.
I agree. I think it's right now, it's Logan Webb, and then I don't know, right? Like Landon Roop has been better than I thought, quite frankly. But he's not great either.
Well, Roop, I mean, he had that rough second inning in Philly, or the rough first inning in Philly last week. Kind of got a little bit of a restart there with that 5-run top of the second the Giants had, and he ran with it after that. I was impressed with how confident Roop was pitching.
I agree.
After that, I saw him chatting with Justin Verlander in the dugout during that second inning. Would love to have heard what Verlander said to him.
He probably said, boy, we should go save some runs for a Logan Webb start. I mean, Jesus.
But I really love how Roop kept
run support.
Roop kept that strong, vibes going into that start on Sunday, and I like Landon Roop a lot. But yeah, Logan Webb just absolutely another caned start on Friday. Giants are 3-2 in Logan Webb starts, and the 2 losses, they lost both of those games 2-0. So
that's incredible. It's Matt Cain all over again. It really is.
It's incredible. He struck out 12 on Friday night. I believe that tied a career high quietly up to 38th into sorry.
0 walks.
0 walks. Yeah, no. So, I mean, Logan Webb giving everything that you would want there, and a start that the Giants absolutely needed against former Giant legend Tyler Anderson, who can remember the 4 starts that he had for the Giants, and it was 2020, I believe. But just, a rough second inning there for Logan on Friday. He had the back-to-back strikeouts, then the back-to-back doubles, a tough Chapman error, and it all fell apart. But the way the Giants were hitting there, just absolutely wasted. But we could talk about, we're talking about Bob Melvin and kind of his handling of things. And I feel like in the last week, we've seen a situation where Bob Melvin kind of gave a little too much leash to pitchers. There was the, I believe it was the Tuesday night start with Verlander. He was in the 6th inning, gives up a 1-out single to Nick Castellanos. That was my thought right there. Okay, now you got to pull him. And then Bob leaves him in for a couple more batters. That inning kind of starts falling apart on the Giants there. And then you kind of wanted the Giants to take Ryan Walker out of yesterday's game after he hit Zach Neto. It feels like, if before Bob Melvin, it was we're taking guys out too early. Now this year, it's almost like we're leaving guys in a little too much early on this season.
Yeah, it definitely feels that way. But I don't know. I don't know how much I put on Bob just yet. I'm going to give him another couple of weeks because I don't think his starting rotation has done him favors in trying to pick and choose his spots for his relievers. I feel like they have been ejected out of games, and it's really screwed up their game plan. And they've been on a run here of consecutive games played. I mean, this is a chunky stretch here.
Oh, yeah. Can we just for a second, really kind of highlight just how difficult a stretch this team has had here. The Giants losing this game yesterday to the Angels. That was the 10th game of a very long 10-game road trip that started on the opposite end of the country. They had to fly across the country, no off days to play this series. That alone is a tough grind. Factor in who you played on that. You had the defending AL champion Yankees to start things off in a frigid, rainy weekend in the Bronx. Then you go to Philly, play in all sorts of different weird weather conditions there against a team that, is also going to be in contention for the NL pennant this year. And then you finish against an Angels team that isn't as bad yet as people expect them. Chassis, so far this year, according to rankingsguru.com, I mean, it's a guru, so they got to know something. The Giants have had the 4th hardest schedule in baseball to start the season. And they played the most road games out of any team to start the season. Like, it's been the Giants could figure what they're at 14-8 right now. They're in their first kind of rough patch of the season. Considering what they battled through at the beginning of this year so far, you kind of have to come away still impressed with where they're at.
Look, I'm not hitting the panic button. I actually like where they're at right now. I feel like they've overachieved, which is a good thing. Now, we'll see what kind of team they are. I think, to me, the next 4 weeks, if they're still around where they're at now, 4 weeks from now, they got something. And they need to make a trade to get them a couple of things, whether it's a bullpen arm, first base, which we can touch on here in a second. I've actually been really encouraged. I mean, Willy Adames hasn't hit at all, at all. Elliot Ramos has been feast or famine, even though he's got a lot of hits. He's been striking out a lot. Jung-Hoo Lee and Fitzgerald have been kind of carrying the offense over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, Jung-Hoo Lee is right now looking like the Giants' leading candidate to be an all-star. I just, you weren't on the last 2 episodes, but last week, myself and Risotto, we just cannot stop gushing about the greatness of Jung-Hoo Lee.
The defense has been great.
When it comes to Willy Adames, though, like I kind of had a take last week where it's just like I feel like we're gonna be so pre-inclined to look at the contract that he got, the biggest in Giants history, and we're expected greatest shortstop in Giants history production. Where contrast that to the shortstop market, he's the 7th highest paid shortstop in baseball right now, and honestly, I would say he's probably the 7th best shortstop in baseball right now.
Okay,
so I do believe there is almost kind of like a recalibration of what to expect from Willy Adames. I don't know if he's going to be the greatest Giant shortstop ever, but I do believe he can be a very good, multiple all-star player though for the Giants. But
he's got to play better.
But where are you so far on this Willy Adames?
Swinging at bad pitches. He's been swinging at bad. I think he's trying to do too much. I know it's also he's in a bad groove right now. I think that he had a big off season. He came in, he was ready to trot, and I think there's a lot on his table. I do think he's going to right the ship. Chapman starts slow every year. So I'm willing to give this guy a little grace period. But he is making a lot of money. And I'm starting to get to the point where, boy, it'd be nice to see him have like a good series offensively.
He shaved this past weekend, which, when a hitter shaves, they're starting to scrape the bottom of the barrel.
Buster.
He's got his former team in town this weekend, the Milwaukee Brewers. Maybe, seeing them kind of gets him going a little bit. But again, the whole Willy Adames conversation, like, the guy's going to be here for 7 years, and we are 22 games into a 7-year career. It is far too early to hit any sort of panic button. I'm not even getting concerned about Willy Adames just yet, because I do think this is kind of the inherent struggle you have to face or worry about when you sign a red hot hitter who's coming off of a career year. Was that who he is, or did he just have a career year? Now, Adames, I think, had enough buildup in those years prior to last year to where it's like, I think this is more who you are, just the numbers he put up during that time. Versus, like, I hate to kind of crush him here, but Brandon Crawford, he was the best at having career years in a contract year. And the Giants threw money at him every single time. I don't think that's what Adames is. But yeah, it's to your point, Shasky, the longer this slow stretch to start the season continues, those murmurs are going to pick up very, very fast in regards to his slow start.
Well, Jung-Hoo Lee started off real slow last year before he got hurt.
Yeah.
And Matt Chapman started off real slow last year. So I'm willing to be a little more patient. And he's obviously got way more Major League Baseball experience than Jung-Hoo Lee. Not as patient with first base. Casey Schmidt defensively was starting to kind of figure it out over there. Not that he's some offensive threat. 5 for 55. Do you know what that is?
Is that Lamont Wade Jr.'s hitting line?
091 now.
He's not even on the interstate. Yeah. It's
20 strikeouts, only 9 walks. He's got a 210 on-base percentage. I mean, come on, man. Like, at what point are we starting to be like, what's going on here?
Step one, what we saw last week, they moved him out of the leadoff spot. Mike Yastrzemski is your new leadoff hitter, which I like that fit a little bit more than Lamont Wade Jr. Moving him to the middle of the lineup, maybe that would be better. But Shasky, the issue for me is not so much the one trait that he has going for him is the walk rate. But even his walk rate is down this year. He's walking around 11%, down from the 14% he's posted over the last 3 years. He's got a 33% strikeout rate right now. He's chasing pitches. He's swinging and missing far too much. That is another guy who looks like he is probably pressing. And it's at a point where he's not good enough defensively to keep him in the field just for his glove. I don't know how much longer of a leash Lamont Wade Jr. has right now.
Well, they need to figure it out. I mean, I know that they think he's been a good Giant, and they think that he's done some really good things, and he has had some solid seasons. Last year was, it's now been 2 years, right? Like, to me, it's not just this first month. It's also last year. Why do you moan like that? Because
let's be real, Shasky. It's not that it's been 2 months. It's been 3 years. Like 2021 Lamont Wade Jr. is not coming back. Like that, I feel like that's what the Giants are doing. They're waiting for that version of him to come back, and I don't see that coming. It's
2022. He batted 207. Yeah. 2023 256. 2024 260. Right now 091. And I mean, it's just. Yeah, it's not good.
He's trying again. It comes down to the fact if his walk rate was not what it was, he would have been out of baseball a year and a half ago. Like, that's kind of what it is. It's the fact that he could get on base just enough to justify his spot in the lineup. But at this point, like, do you just do Wilmer Flores at first base more? I guess maybe
I don't even know.
Maybe we're gonna see more David Villar, who has been kind of the quadruple A star for the Giants for the last couple of years. He just hasn't been able to put it together at all there. Are you surprised that it was VR called up and not Brett Wisely, by the way?
No, because VR is going to play first base. I don't think Brett Wisely can play first base.
Yeah. All right. But yeah, I don't know what you do with Lamont Wade Jr. because Dave VR is not a long-term option. Maybe they throw Casey Schmidt back in there when he comes back. But you said on the show this morning, I think 30 days is the average time usually for an oblique injury. So this could be a while that we're not seeing Casey Schmidt.
Can I ask you, where do you think the Giants rank in terms of home runs at first base?
Home runs at first base. Do they, unless they include Wilmer Flores as a first baseman?
No, they don't.
They're going to be dead last.
They have one home run at first base. They're tied with a couple of teams. They're second to last in baseball. Only the Royals have less home runs at first base. Let's go RBIs at first base. Just to give you an idea of where they're at right now, okay? The San Francisco Giants are 17th in RBIs, all right? 17th. Hits
at first base?
Is all at first base. second to last with 10 hits. Okay,
It's a black hole there.
doubles, bottom part of baseball. I mean, it's just I go right down the list on everything that the Giants do at first base. They are mediocre to subpar. Like there's no other way around it. And they've got to fix this thing. And then you're talking about walks. Like, oh, well, he gets a lot of walks.
They're not even doing that.
I mean, he's got 9, but there's teams in the top of baseball like Philly that have 18 at first base. So yeah, he's striking out a lot. He's walking few and far between compared to years before. They're the second worst strikeout team at first base. My point that I'm getting at is first base is a giant offensive hole.
No, it is a black hole of epic proportions right now, and I don't think there's anything in the farm system that's saving you anytime soon. I mean, obviously, we want Bryce Eldridge to come up as soon as possible, but he's in Double-A right now. We're probably not seeing him for a couple more months at minimum here. So then you're looking at the trade market, and unfortunately, I don't see the trade. It's April. It's April 21st right now, and we're looking at the first base trade market. Is there any names that you're kind of looking to shop for right now in that sense, or?
I don't even know. I don't even know where they go, honest to God, because I thought Goldschmidt on a 1-year deal was the move to make, and the Yankees ended up getting him, and you didn't. But it's not just first base. I want to make this clear. Like, there are other guys not hitting. Obviously, shortstop isn't hitting. The catcher position. The Giants have the most strikeouts at the catcher position. I told you where they are at first base. How many hits do they have behind the plate for the Giants catchers this year? Do you even want to guess how many hits or where the Giants are in terms of league?
They're dead last.
Second to last in offense at catcher spot. Now, look, Patrick Bailey has made up for it with his framing. Like, he defensively, I'm willing to accept it because he's an elite defender. But the reality is they're way behind at shortstop offensively, first base offensively, and catcher offensively right now. And it's kind of holding them back in terms of their overall offense.
No, and again, I trust that the catching spot will come around. I trust Patrick Bailey enough at the plate to where I think he'll figure it out. Check back with me in a month or so, and if he's still scuffling, maybe that changes. Adames, as I said already, I'm willing to be a little bit more patient there. Again, check back with me in a month, and I might be a little bit more irate about it. But no, first base is the one where hopefully Casey Schmidt can come back soon. Maybe David Villar, he kind of gets hot a little bit and plays some respectable defense. I don't want to see Wilmer Flores at first. Maybe when Gerard Encarnacion comes back, maybe that might lead to a change there where you see Flores at first and Encarnacion as your DH. Again, though, this is mid to late May for any of these things taking shape. It's going to be this might suck to say. You might just have to buckle up here with the first base production for the next month or so. And the Giants are going to have to figure things out here.
I'll leave you one last thing.
Yeah.
This is where it would be really freaking special if Bryce Eldridge could just get healthy, because I know he's in Double-A, and just push it. I mean, there's an opportunity right now where they're dying for someone to come through. And boy, it'd be nice if he could do it.
I mean, it would be part one would probably, I'm not against that move. I just think the things that need to happen for that to happen are he needs to probably go, I think, 30 for his next 20. And then Lamont Wade Jr. needs to go maybe negative 10 for his next 30. Like, if it gets that bad where they're just rushing Bryce Eldridge up, I think it's because something monumentally awful has happened at the big league roster, necessitating that, which again, you know what? Maybe that's what was required. I mean, things were pretty dire in 2010 for a minute. Then Buster Posey comes up, and the rest was history there. So, Giants taking on the Brewers this week. Brewers 0-4 start to the season, or 12-6 since. Another just difficult opponent for the Giants this week.
And a well-run team.
And a very well-run team here. I said this last road trip, Shasky, was a bit of a statement road trip for the Giants, and that kind of that statement kind of continues into this current homestand with the Brewers and then Bruce Bochy's Rangers. So it will be very interesting to see kind of how that develops. Any final thoughts on just kind of what kind of statement the Giants could make with a big week this year before we get out of here?
I don't know if you know who this player is, people that are listening, but Jackson Chourio, 21 years old, played every game essentially last year, ups and downs for the Milwaukee Brewers, 21 years old, batting .260, he's got 5 home runs, 19 RBIs, 25 hits. Those would all be top of the category for the Giants. He's a superstar.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good look. And we saw an aging superstar over the weekend in Mike Trout. They got to keep the ball in the ballpark.
Mike Trout, 8 of his 14 hits have been home runs for Mike Trout. Boy, would he still look good in this Giants lineup.
You know where I stand on that.
You want him, honestly, if he hit 220 with 30 home runs, I'd probably take that.
Yeah, put him in the lineup right now.
Exactly. Can he play first base, though? That is the question. This has been episode 124 of the Garlic Fries and Baseball Guys podcast. For Sam Lubman, for Joe Shasky. We'll be back on Thursday to talk about hopefully a 3 or 4 from the Brewers. I don't know. It's going to be tough the way the Giants are hitting right now and the way the Brewers are pitching. We'll see how it goes, and we will see you on the next one.